The Prime Minister, David Cameron, of course, dropped into BBC WM studios yesterday. Our reporter, Ed Dawes, caught up with him and quizzed him, amongst other things, about the possibility of high-speed 2.
Well, we said at the election that we supported the high-speed rail concept. In fact, we were, at one of our conferences, we were the ones who had pushed it the hardest right from the start. Obviously, there needs to be a proper consultation about the route. There'll be a bill that has to go through Parliament. Everyone's voice can be heard. But the advantages of having a high-speed rail that links London, Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, I think is huge for our country. It can be a really transforming act that will help give us a modern economy that we need.
But isn't it just going to benefit business people, because they're going to be the ones who can probably afford it and put it on expenses, perhaps, and those people living in those areas won't be able to use it?
All the evidence from previous major transport projects, whether it is building of motorways, whether it is high-speed rail, whether it's, the building of the West Coast Main Line or the East, all the signs are that those transport projects can actually help to transform your economic prospects. They bring the country closer together, they help trade, they help investment. Other countries in Europe are doing this. We should do the same, and I think it will benefit everybody.
Prime Minister David Cameron talking to BBC WM's Ed Dawes live from the ICC Hall 3 this morning. Delighted to say we're joined by Transport Secretary Philip Hammond. Mr. Hammond, very good morning to you. Welcome to Birmingham.
Good morning.
The High Speed 2 announcement, you're set to make that today, £33 billion. That's a lot of public money for a project for which a lot of people think are yet to be convinced will actually benefit our area.
Well, as David Cameron just said, it will help to bring the country together, shorten journey times, and help the economic regeneration, particularly of cities in the Midlands and the North. We've spent, over the last 50, 60 years, consecutive governments of all parties have spent billions and billions of pounds trying to address the challenge of how we get prosperity in the Midlands and the North growing as quickly as it has been in the South East. And this kind of transport infrastructure project, which brings the country closer together, promotes inward investment, stimulates growth, this is the way to help do that.
One of the main campaigners against this proposed idea is actually on the line this morning. Lizzy Williams, we've been following her journey. She was demonstrating her objection to this by walking the route of the High Speed 2 from her home in Hints in Tamworth all the way down to London Euston. We spoke to her, and she'll be demonstrating her objection later on this morning when she walks in to Birmingham. Very good morning, Lizzy.
Good morning.
Mr. Hammond here for you this morning. What would you like to ask the Transport Secretary?
Well, last time Philip was in Birmingham, he spoke to the IBM Start Conference, and he said, and I quote, "We have one of the most expensive railways in the world, most expensive to build, most expensive to maintain, and most expensive to travel on. This is not acceptable." Now, going back to what David Cameron was saying there about signs of economic growth, on HS2, it costs £6 billion to build, and it's been sold at a 75% loss. This train is going to cost £33 billion. Would you please explain why he thinks HS1 is a national success story?
Well, look, you don't measure large-scale, publicly funded infrastructure projects in terms of how much money you can sell them for. If you could get a price for them that was more than they cost to build, then the public purse would never have to build them. The private sector would build them. Governments invest in things that the private sector won't build because the benefits don't just come through the fares that are collected. The benefits come through the economic regeneration of cities and whole regions of the country. And the business case for building this high-speed railway is very strong. It's been properly modelled, and the benefits that Britain will accrue from the railway far exceed the cost of building it.
Well, we don't think the business case does actually stack up. HS1 was supposed to carry 24 million passengers and is only carrying 7.5. And if you speak to some of the MPs in Kent, they will tell you that the economic benefits they were promised simply do not exist.
Well, look, this attack on the business case for HS1 is wholly unfounded. The railway's only just started operating with full domestic high-speed services as well as Channel Tunnel services. New services are coming onto the line. Deutsche Bahn, the German railway, have announced that they will start in 2012 running a service through from Frankfurt to London. You can't measure a piece of infrastructure like this, which has got a lifetime measured in decades, if not centuries, after just a year or so of its existence.
Mr. Hammond, you have already slightly altered the plans for the route anyway. Do you think there's any scope for any further change?
Yes, and one of the points about the consultation that we're undertaking now, the work we're doing with communities along the line of the route, is to try to minimise the impact. Of course, we recognise that there is an impact on people whose communities the railway line runs through. By moving the alignment a little bit, sometimes by putting it in cuttings, by bunding around it, we can reduce that impact, and that's the constructive engagement we want to have with people all the way along the route now.
Lizzy, you're going to continue your protest into Birmingham today, I believe, is that right?
I will, I definitely will, and one of the things I'd like to ask the Minister is, if we're only talking about mitigation and route changes, have you already made the decision that this will go ahead?
Final question to you, Mr. Hammond.
We'll be consulting in the new year both on the principle of high-speed rail, on the route proposal, the broad shape of the high-speed network, and on the detailed specific route between London and Birmingham. All three of those things will be up for consultation. Of course, we'll look at the responses to consultation, and the government will make its final decision at the back end of next year.
Philip Hammond, Transport Secretary, thank you very much indeed for your time this morning. And Lizzy Williams, campaigner against High Speed 2, resident in Staffordshire, who will be continuing her protest by walking into Birmingham later on today here at the IC.